Hi guys, welcome back to Tom Mods Things. Today we are starting to fix my smashed up Porsche Cayman. Right, so just to give you an update for those of you that have just joined the channel, this is my 2006 wide body custom Porsche Cayman that we built on this channel. You can see there's a playlist, I'll put it up, of exactly sort of the process from sort of standard car all the way to wide body, built all in the garage. And then those of you that have also been following will know that I've recently smashed this up sort of just over a month ago, and so currently it's looking a tad sorry for itself on the driveway, basically off roundabout into a curb. Anyway, long story short, it's broken. So we on the last episode looked into exactly what was going on, and we determined that basically the steering rack had sheared itself off the subframe, which means that we're going to have to delve in deeper and basically replace the whole subframe. So we are going to start cracking on. I've actually already been doing a few bits in the meantime, so I'll show you where I'm up to at the moment. Right, so this is where we're up to at the moment. So the back's all in cover. So we've been stripping down all the hub assembly. All this suspension strut and everything is off on the other side because, as you would have seen on the previous episode, the hub had sheared itself off. So we'd already bought a replacement hub, thinking that it might have just been that. But then we looked in a little bit further and realised that actually this whole steering rack had sheared itself off of this main subframe as well. So as you can see, some water dripping and stuff at the moment. We've whipped off coolant crossover pipes, top and bottom on both sides. When I first got the car about 5 years ago, about a year later, we actually had these replaced anyway, so these are actually not too bad. We'll clean them up, chuck them back in, but it shouldn't mean that we actually need to replace them unless there's some damage further down the line on the aluminium crossover pipes. So we've done that. I think there might be a couple of other bits. I think there's one at the back that we'll probably need to undo as well, but at the moment it's just draining it all onto the floor because this mug forgot to get a bucket, which means that now I've got to sit in the wetness, which is brilliant. So we've also gone through and removed the under tray, which is sitting there, and then underneath started to take off all of the subframe bolts, one here. I've left the two in the rear for the moment because we're going to just slowly lower this down. As you can see, it's actually a little bit of a mess under here, to be honest. I've actually been reading up, and these are notoriously awful for corrosion, as you can see. I mean, they're all rusted. I mean, come on, bloody hell, you think you'd get an expensive car and stuff, or expensive back in the day anyway, and then these would be sort of reasonable, but anyway, alas, it is not. But what we'll do is we'll whip all this out. We'll basically get to the point where the whole subframe is removed from the car, all of the suspension has been removed, and then basically we can just take a proper look at it and go, these are all the bits that we need to replace. I think really there's no point using a lot of the, well, not that lower coffin arm anyway, that's definitely I would say had its day, but a lot of these other bits like track rod ends and stuff, I think while we're in here we'll probably just go ahead and replace them anyway. Some of the sort of rubber bush, the rubber bushes and stuff have all started to deteriorate, so what we might do is use this time to basically upgrade everything with poly bush anyway, because if we're gonna have to replace them we may as well upgrade it at the same time, and then again we'll get new coffin arms and we'll basically just rebuild an all sort of nice new subframe with all new bits and bobs. So then when it goes back on, I mean, we might even go and get powder coated if I can find somebody who's willing to do me a favour and mates race powder coat on the bottom of it, but we will see, because frankly we just want this back on the road. We're not too bothered about sort of necessarily the aesthetics of it necessarily just yet, because we're planning to do a big change, because that is smashed up and we need to do something different. So I've got loads of thoughts in the background, so we'll see how many of those we can bring to light. But yeah, let's crack on, let's get the subframe down, and I'll see you once I've managed to complete that.
A few moments later.
Hi guys, and after a couple of hours of basically fighting this, as you can see, subframe is sat on the floor. I mean, the interesting bit is the steering. Let's flip it around. So as suspected, the whole steering rack is fully sheared, as you can see there. We'll take it out in a sec just to see the absolute extent of the damage, but the fact that the steering rack is still attached to the car just by these pipes and stuff at the moment just shows that basically it sheared itself off the subframe, which means that we're going to need a new subframe. So we are going to just pull out these last coolant pipes at the back, and then we are basically going to drag this out the front of the car, and we're just going to start to see the sort of extent of the damage. But really happy we managed to get that out. A little bit of progress here and there, so yeah, starting to feel a little bit better about this. So yeah, let's crack on and let's get this out. Well, hi, and there we have it, guys. What you can do in a small amount of space on your driveway. So we've pulled the whole subframe off the rear of the Cayman, front of the Cayman. We've just show you kind of what's going on here. So these are the crossover pipes, basically take the fluid all through the front from both radiators. So you can see crossover here and then subsequent there as well, and then we've got our coffin arms at the bottom. Struts still attached on this one because this one, the hub is still intact, but we're going to start replacing various bits anyway. This one's the one that sheared off, so obviously that's not there anymore. Then we've got our anti-roll bar links left and right, and then as you can see here with this nice little bit of metal, turns out that I don't think this side actually sheared off because we managed to actually get the mount out. So I'm thinking actually it's not as bad as we were expecting. From the looks of things, when I first put this together, it looked like this mount was actually part of the subframe, but it looks like it's actually just a separate piece. So it means that actually I think we could just replace the mounts. Now I'm not getting myself too excited here because I don't want to jinx it, but it's looking like actually we could salvage this subframe and we just need 2 mounts, which is friggin' awesome. So yeah, we're going to need some new lower arms, some new control links and stuff, but the main sort of expensive part, and obviously we still need to take a look at the oh, hello cat, you alright Smudge? Nope. Right, in he goes. So yeah, the main bit here, which is the bit that we need to now sort of try and coax out of the car, is kind of one of the most expensive bits, this steering rack. So if we could get this out and just take a look and just make sure there's nothing, because we need to kind of find the leak as well. That's the bit I'm worried about, because there was definitely fluids leaking out of this car when it first took the impact, because it sort of went across the road. Thought it was brake fluid to start with, which to be honest it still could be. We did notice that on the other side there was a bit of corrosion in this sort of area and it looked like it come down, but then there was all the weepage in the center where the steering rack was connected on the other side. So I would expect that it's going to be something around here somewhere. So anyway, I think what we're going to do is we're going to, rather than let this all hang loose, sorry, camera's not actually on it, we're going to get this steering rack disconnected where I need it to, and then we're going to pull it out just to get it so that it's all together. So I'm going to crack on with that now. Oh, as a top tip as well, always label your bolts that you've taken off. So baggies, nice and cheap, fill them up right on the front, and then you'll remember exactly what you've taken off and needs to go back on again. We found the other one knocking around on the floor, so as you can see this is the old mount that used to be in there, and as you can see it's totally sheared off of the mount point. I'm assuming the rest of this is actually on the steering rack, but from looking around it's looking pretty positive, to be fair. It looks like there might actually literally just be replacement these, and then we're ready to go, to be honest. I think we're just going to tidy up some of this anyway and just clean it and just paint it, whatever, protect it, job done. And then I think we'll do maybe some bits on the suspension because that's looking a little bit tired. And yeah, we might actually be back up and running, which is absolutely sick. So it's out, and I think we found the leak. All's looking all good here, and then yeah, I'm not convinced that that's actually supposed to be exposed to the world. So yeah, obviously this side sheared off, this side sheared off a little bit more, and also went to the inside as well, so it's cool, dude. Oh dear. Right, okay, so kind of good and bad really. Steering racks I believe are still quite expensive as well, so we're gonna have to go and source one of those as an absolute minimum, but at least from the point of view of the subframe itself, we're just going to need to basically, I thought these were separate mounts, but they're not. These were actually supposed to be part of the subframe of the steering rack itself. So it means basically we just need a new rack. We need a new rack. We need a new coffin arm. We've got the new hub anyway, and then basically after that we should actually be back on the road, which is cool. I shouldn't need to replace any of the crossover pipes. I'll take a look around them, clear out any of the sort of corrosion that's sort of appeared over a small amount of time, but I did replace these 2 years into ownership of this car anyway, so realistically they're only 3, maximum 4 years old, so they should be absolutely fine. But yeah, so kind of getting there a little bit. So now basically it's got nothing going on under here, it's all been taken out. I'm just going to leave the the power steering cables on the ground. Maybe I'll tie them up, put a cable tie just to keep them off the ground so they don't get any water in them. But yeah, in essence, we've got to the bottom of it. We're going to recondition the subframe. We're going to take everything off, replace it all. We'll do the bushes while we're here anyway, because we may as well. We're going to now source a new steering rack, and then that, with everything else, put back on here, minus the buggered wheel. And the smashed up front, which we can put on anyway, and the headlight, well, I don't know, we can sand it or whatever. That will effectively get this car back on the road, which is cool. So it's not too bad. I was expecting to do the steering rack anyway. The subframe is a bonus that we don't have to do that, because trying to find one of those at the moment was becoming quite problematic, and because of how big it is, no one wants to send it. It just becomes a hassle. So that, a lot easier. We'll take our track rod ends off anyway, or we'll just actually screw that, we'll just get some new ones, and then yeah, in essence we're then pretty much sorted, to be honest, which is pretty sick. We'll do another fly around underneath, but yeah, in essence that's actually it's not terrible, it's not too bad. I mean, it might be that I now search steering racks and for whatever reason they're now crazy money, but in essence, yeah, steering rack, a couple of small jobs like some links and coffin arm, a couple of bushes we'll replace with poly bush and stuff anyway, and then yeah, we're all ready to go. So yeah, short but sweet, but a little update on the Porsche. We'll crack on and get that sorted. And then yeah, and then we can start cruising around in the Porsche again, and then the Punto Power can go off sale, and then we're back on track with everything, and then the Saxo can come back over here, and then we can get started on that project, and life's a good one. So yeah, cheers all for watching. Stay tuned for more content. We're going to be changing the Porsche up anyway, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. See you later.
Great success.